Steven with Parts Doctor. I'm going to show you how to replace the moisture sensor wiring harness in the Samsung dryer. We'll need a few different tools for the job. We'll leave those listed in the description below. Let's get started. The moisture sensors and wiring harness are part of the filter cover assembly. On some model dryers, the wiring harness may be sold individually, and on others, it's only sold as part of the filter cover assembly. For this repair, unplug or disconnect power to the dryer. Also, be careful as you'll be working around sharp edges. The only way to get access to the moisture sensor wiring harness is by removing the top cover, the control panel, and front frame assembly. We will also remove the front door to make handling the front frame assembly a little easier. First, we need to get access to the back of the dryer to remove the two screws on the top cover. Next, place your foot at the bottom of the dryer, place your hands on the top, and pull towards you until the top cover releases. This may require some force. Now, remove these 4 Phillips screws. Next, gently lift up on the control panel to release it, then tilt forward, being careful as it's still connected by wires. Then, remove the 2 electrical connectors by depressing the locking tab, gently wiggling until it releases, and remove the wires from the retainers. Once the wires are removed, you can separate the control panel from the chassis. Next, remove these 2 Phillips screws to remove the door. Then, firmly grasp the door and lift up and out to remove. Now, remove these 4 Phillips screws. Next, remove these 2 Phillips screws beneath the door opening. Now, lift up on the panel to release it from these 2 retaining tabs, being careful as it's still connected to the door switch wire. Disconnect the wire by wiggling and pulling until it releases. Then, lift up on the panel assembly to release it from the chassis. Now, disconnect the 2 electrical connectors on the moisture sensors. You may find it easier to use a needle nose pliers. To remove the wiring harness, disconnect the electrical connector and remove the wiring retainer. To disconnect the electrical connector, depress the locking tab and pull apart. To remove the retainer, depress the locking tabs on the back side while pushing out. This may be difficult. If you have a bad wiring harness and you need to purchase a new one, you can check out our website, partsdoctor.com. We'll leave the link in the description below. You want to make sure you're searching with the model number from the tag on your dryer to make sure you get the correct part. To install the wiring harness, align the retainer and push back in place. Then, reconnect the electrical connector by aligning and pushing till it snaps back in place. To install the front panel, start by aligning the slots on the panel with the tabs on the chassis. Then, tilt the panel up and reinstall the door switch wire by aligning and pushing until it seats back in place. Make sure the wires don't get pinched between the front panel and chassis. Then, push the panel until it seats back in place. Then, reinstall the 6 screws. With the hinge swung outward, We'll first need to start by aligning this screw with this opening and set the door in place. Then, reinstall the 2 screws. To install the control panel, start by inserting the tabs on the panel into the openings on the chassis. Now, reconnect the 2 electrical connectors by aligning, pushing till they snap in place, and reinstall the wires into the retainers. Then, tilt the control panel back in place and reinstall the 4 screws. To reinstall the top cover, make sure the rear of it, which is noted by the gray pieces, is facing the rear of the dryer. Align the top cover guides to the opening in the top cover. Continue to push forward until it locks back in place. Next, reinstall the 2 screws. With everything put back together, plug the dryer in, test it out to make sure everything is working properly. So that's it for this video. If you learned something new, hit that like button. And if you enjoy fixing things, please consider subscribing.